Welcome to Madame Noire special election coverage. Nationwide, women of color desperately make less money compared to white men and white women. Black women make 60 cents on the dollar, while Hispanic women earn 55 cents for every dollar earned. When it comes to the issue of the pay gap, Hillary Clinton wants to increase minimum wage to stimulate the economy. Yet when we search DonaldJTrump.com for this stance on the pay gap, we found nothing. So basically, he doesn't appear to have a stance on lessening the gap between men and women in the workplace. So my first question, is Hillary Clinton raising the minimum wage actually going to solve the issue of the pay gap?
Well, it's certainly going to help.
Yeah.
And I think this is something where the Bernie supporters really did help put this in her mouth, right? So, I mean, even though I have some issues with how that campaign was running, the Bernie Sanders campaign, there are some very definitive things that helped move her to a more sort of progressive platform, and minimum wage was central to his message, and then it became something that is central to Hillary Clinton's, and that's just baseline. Like raising minimum wages is baseline, and I mean one of the things it is confounding to me how any woman, Republican woman, cannot agree to equal pay. Like I actually literally don't understand how you can. And you know, we think of Black women, Latino women make less than we do.
Yeah, 50%.
So there's also, I think, women of color, particularly Black women and Latino women in America, really need to understand that we are stronger together.
I've never met a conservative woman who says, I want to earn less money for doing the exact same work as men. The real debate on this issue is over how you analyze the data on women who are earning less. And it depends on the industry, so I want to be very clear on this. There are industries in which women are doing the exact same job as men and are not being paid as much. That is absolutely wrong, and I've never met a Republican woman who goes, I have no problem with that. Where the debate comes down is in industries where you see women earn less because either they take time away from that industry because they want to raise a family, even if it's for just 2 years. 2 years on Wall Street is an eternity when you start factoring things like bonuses. And so, or it comes down to a woman who says, what a lot of us do, and I don't even have children, but I'm talking about even if you have a family member that you're caring for, because women are overwhelmingly the caregivers. And so a woman says, this is frankly what my mother did. My mom wanted to be a really involved mom. We're super close. I talk to her every day. Part of why we talk every day, I believe, is because of something I found out in adulthood, which is that she made the choice that she wasn't going to go for the big promotions because she wanted to be the mom who showed up at my terrible dance recitals, you know, even when I lost a tennis match, like she wanted to be the mother who did that. My father didn't do that, you know what I mean? And that's the trade-off women statistically are overwhelmingly more likely to make. That does not change the fact that there is still sexism in this country, and there are companies that do blatantly discriminate against women. I actually think the best way to solve and address this issue is to do what some other countries do, which is to have straight up transparency in terms of pay. We're one of the few democracies in Western countries where it's seen as normal to keep what you make a secret. Like most of us are trained not to reveal what we're making. Whereas if you published what a company is paying every single employee, then I can go into my office and say, nice try. Actually, John and I are doing the exact same thing. We're putting the same hours, and you're paying him more. Why is that? We don't. There's a vested interest among corporate people to keep that.
But also the mother piece, though, there's something inherently wrong with that argument. Meaning, when a woman is saying or when a company is saying that women take time off, that woman did not get pregnant by herself, right? So this assumption that mothers are the ones who should be completely, entirely responsible for that child is where we're trying to move forward, meaning that there are men now that want to take time off also to be parents. That piece, I think, is antiquated to say that this is why we shouldn't pay them the same because women take time off to contribute to humanity, right? So the responsibility then becomes hers, not only to get paid less when she's working to help another human being. You know what I mean? So
can I clarify though for a fact, just a fact check, Michaela? Because I specifically mentioned women, but it's actually statistically it's a parental gap because women who are single and childless in major urban cities out earn men. That's a fact. That's what every study has shown. So it's a parental gap. And so even though overwhelmingly women tend to bear the burden, to your larger point, we're getting to a point where more men are saying,
Yes.
wait a minute, I also want to go, why can't I go to my daughter's dance recital? But those men face a penalty too. So I think, I just want to say that I think the conversation, to your point about evolving, has to move beyond this and be a larger conversation about what kind of country we want to have. There are always going to be jobs where you can't balance. If you want to be a CIA operative, if you want to run a presidential campaign, you're going to have to miss some things in your personal life. But I think as more and more people are doing what I'm seeing in my own family, which is it's not just about children, it's about the elderly family member who has dementia that you have to be able to get home for, then we need to be framing a country that makes that.
How this affects this election though,
Yeah.
because what we're talking about is that you have to understand there's a candidate who has a view about women and a view about pregnancy being disgusting, or about how women should be home making dinner. So there's something really there's something very critical and urgent in this election about how we should vote according to how a certain candidate feels about women and feels about motherhood, and feels that women who are being harassed at work should just get another job or become a teacher. So let's be clear that what we're talking about as it affects this election is so critical that we understand what's at stake for us as women, given this candidate and how he has historically viewed women and people of color.
I will say that in 85%, I've been working now, I guess, 25 years. In 85% of the jobs, I'm rounding off, the jobs that I've had, I have made less than my male counterpart. And it's just something that you have to just expect and accept. When you come out of the game for a while, whether you do it because you want to raise your kids or you take some time off, or whatever the situation is, you go back in, you're not going to make, I mean, in a lot of situations, I can't speak for every single industry across the board, but you're just not making, that's just the bottom line. You're not making what your male counterpart is making, or what you're taking time off, and you're taking pay cut. And as the mother in the relationship, as the wife, a lot of times we make that sacrifice more so than, the men do. Just in my household alone, right? If my husband has a business trip, he has a business trip.
Yes.
If I have a business trip, I have a business trip that I have to schedule around the kids. And it's just the reality of the situation.
But you know what's really, to me, exciting about perhaps having the first woman president? It's not just Hillary. It's like she's got some bad sisters behind her, like in her camp, that have been with her. And when she said that she wanted to have a 50% female cabinet, that is breakthrough. That is historic. What does it look like if 50% of the people that are in the White House that are talking policy, that 50% will understand what you all just said? Because there's just, we are coming out of such a conservative notion, like our mothers can talk about what it was like to be in the workforce for the first time. Like this is, and there's resistance. There are studies that show that there's resistance on women in leadership positions for the first time, no matter what the profession. So the first female police officers, the first female women that were in the military, or even if you're just like the president of your, student council. As a girl, there's resistance because we have not been cultured to see women in leadership. So the possibility of having more women in the White House can make a shift in this. And she has the most women of color in her staff than any other presidential candidate in history. So there's possibilities. The people that they understand our lives in a way that we have never seen before. And we have to get on November 9th is when we get to work.
Thank you for watching, and please let us know in the comments section which issues matter most to you as a woman of color.